Hello, YouTube. All right, guys. I haven't posted a video in a while, so I wanted to post a video. Okay, so I was thinking about business, and I was just thinking about mainly mindset, right? And so I started a new business of January of 2020. And then a month and a half later, COVID hits, right? And it's just crazy. And so, you really have to control your mindset, because obviously March of 2020 is not the opportune time to start a new business, right? But that didn't really stop me. And so, here we are, we're in September of 2020. I'm only, I think, a few months away from actually leaving my day job, because of that business is actually starting to grow and start to move forward. And so I'll be able to replace my current income that took me 15 years to accumulate, and 15 years to learn the skills to be able to make really a six-figure income on my old business, but having to put in a lot of time and a lot of work to be able to generate that kind of money. So I'm will I have replaced all of that income in the next few months? I don't know, but I think it'll be close enough to where I can really focus and stop being pulled in two different directions. But with that being said, I did a little. I was thinking about it. I'm a Christian, right? And so there's some. I have some biblical beliefs and different things like that. But I was kind of thinking about the story of Moses and the Israelites, right? And so if you don't know the story, the Israelites were captured by Egypt. Well, they weren't really captured by Egypt. They were enslaved by Egypt. And biblical scholars say there were anywhere from 2 to 3 million Israelites in captivity in Egypt. And so we all know the story. You may have seen the cartoon, maybe you've read the Bible, but God talks to Moses and says, hey, I'm going to send you to Pharaoh, and you're going to walk my people out, and you're going to go to this land flowing with milk and honey. They called it the Promised Land. And, after a little bit of arguing and a little bit of back and forth and stubbornness with Pharaoh, he does allow the Israelites to go. And so the story that they cross the Red Sea, it opens up, the Egyptians go in, it crashes down upon them. And then they're free. All right. They do a little dance. They do a little praise. And then they're free. And so God shows up as a pillar of fire at night, and, a cloud during the day. And he guides them to where they're supposed to go, to the Promised Land. So, if you look at the maps and the different things and scholars and things like that, they believe that there were only just a few, actually, I think it's a few weeks. Don't quote me on that. But it wasn't months, it wasn't years. It might have actually been just a few weeks away of a walk between Egypt and Israel, the land that God promised them. Okay, and so as you watch, they get to the area, the border of where they're supposed to go, right? The border of the land, and they send spies. So he sends 12 spies, a representative from each tribe of Israel. Okay, and so they send these 12 tribes out, and I guess they go up and I don't know it wasn't a fence, but I guess maybe a ridge or valley, a mountain, whatever it is. So they go up and they spy out the land, and they all, with the same eyes, saw the exact same thing. They saw the people that occupied the land. They called them giants. They said, oh, we're grasshoppers in the eyes of these people. These people are just, I don't know if they were really giants, or if they were just like a big people, or if there was a lot of people or whatever, but they felt inferior, right? In the eyes. Out of the 12 men that were all seeing the same thing, 10 of them saw the same thing. 10 of them saw all the doubt. They saw all of the arguments. They listened to, man, we can't do this. They've come out of that mentality of being enslaved, right? They come out of that mentality of like, okay, I have a master. and I have to follow them. I have to, listen to what they say. And so I believe that they had that slave mentality, right? And two men saw something different. They all saw the same thing, but two men saw something different. And so when they go back, right, to report to Moses, they go to Moses and 10 of them say, oh, there's no way we can take the land. This is an impossible thing. Why'd you take us out of Egypt? Like, we're gonna die out here in the desert. Like, there's no way this is gonna happen. And then 2, Caleb and Joshua, they said, no. They're seeing it wrong. That's the land that God's promised us. All we have to do is go over there and get it, right? Like, they were like, hey, we're gonna go out there. It doesn't matter who's there. We're going to succeed. We're going, because 1, we have God on our side, and 2, like, that's our purpose, right? That's our passion. That's our vision. Like, we're going. And so, of course, the 10 people screaming from the rooftop saying, no, it corrupted the 2 to 3 million people, and even Moses himself. Like, Moses' leadership failed here, I believe, because instead of listening to what God said and also listening to what 2 men said, which were Joshua and Caleb, they decided to back off and not go that way, and they left. And then it says that because of that, a whole generation went without their promise, right? Like, a whole generation went without their promise. So think about that. That's 2 to 3 million people that had to die in the desert, and that their children would go into the kingdom, right? Their children would go into that land that God promised them. Even Moses didn't get to go in. Like, Moses, on his deathbed, he went up to the mountain to look at the promised land that he led all these people around for 40 years. They wandered the desert because they didn't have the right vision, right, to see what was right in front of them and to see what their purpose was and what their calling was. Only Joshua and Caleb. I want you to think about that. 2 out of 3 million got to go in. 2 out of 3 million got to go in because they saw things differently. And as a business owner, and as somebody who is going away from the status quo, right? You're trying to leave that 9-to-5 job. You're trying to leave that boss that's sitting there and telling you, like, hey, you have to show up at 8 and you have to leave at 5 and you have to have this, and this done. It's so easy to fall into that, and then they're going to give us our pay. They're going to give us our stuff for coming in. They're going to trade our time and our value and our worth for compensation that makes them money, right? And some of us get so far into that, and then so when those obstacles come, like COVID, and we get no's or we don't, we have a bad day, all of a sudden we start listening to those naysayers instead of listening to the 2 or 3 people that say, no, you're looking at it wrong. And so you have to look at every day in the journey in your life, like Joshua and Caleb looked at it, like, yeah, okay, those are big guys, but I know that I'm supposed to be over there, and I'm not going to walk around this desert for 40 years when my promise is right there, right? And so what's inside of you, right? There's some of you that, guess what? Y'all aren't going to make it because you don't have it inside, and that's the hard truth. Like, we can, people like, can motivate you, and videos like this can motivate you and help you push forward and things like that. But the reality is that some of you aren't going to make it, right? But deep down inside, there's nothing stopping you, right? It's just you deciding whether or not you're going to make it or not. And it's whether or not you listen to the circumstance. Guys, like, there's a statistic that 90% of online businesses fail in the first 120 days. And that doesn't mean that you have a 10% chance of making it, right? That just means you've got to be part of that you got to be like those 10% that do make it. Like, you can't listen to everybody else, that 90% that listens to the crowd and looks at the obstacles and quits. And so my biggest takeaway from that, guys, is be different and don't listen to what everybody says, because guess what? Sometimes there are going to be people that say, oh man, that's stupid, you shouldn't do that, or that's never going to work, or what about this, what about that? Man, I hate to say it like this, but man, like screw those people, right? Like forget those people. You're gonna like if you live in that mentality of always having somebody tell you what you should believe, then you're never gonna get to where you want to go. Like make up your own goals and go further than anybody ever expected you to do. Like be the guy, right? Like be the exception. Be the Joshua. Be the Caleb that got to see his promise at 80 something years old. Caleb went into the promised land as an old man, and there's a story that when he went in, he took his promise and he went and he battled like a young man, and he 80 something years old, and he was fighting battles because he knew that it was right there for him. And some of you have to fight some battles because it's right there for you. And so don't give up, keep moving forward, and y'all have a blessed day.